Wonders. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fan Interference with Wichita Wingnuts manager Pete Rose Jr. Fan Interference is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the Wichita manager questions about the Wingnuts, baseball or sports in general, or just seek Pete's wisdom about life events that are going on out there. In this week's episode, Pete tells us whether his team can win 80 games this season. He wonders if Billy Martin Jr. will kick dirt on umpires. And Pete offers some marital advice. So let's get right to Fan Interference.
Let's welcome back manager Pete Rose. Pete, first of all, season 2, so you put up with me for a year.
Oh, it's been a great year. I'm like I told you in the off season, man. I look forward to this every week. I think it's great. It's a pleasure doing it, man. I love talking to you, and I mean the questions are great. I mean if it's football or baseball or whatever, it's something I look forward to every week. So I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it.
I'm glad to hear I haven't gotten my nerves yet. So let's first of all begin with team updates from you.
Really no team updates. Obviously, 10 days, 12 days into the season, 2 weeks. We're doing all right. We're right about 500, trying to find our way. Hitters just trying to do a little too much at the plate right now, but I think our track record speaks for ourselves. I think they're going to hit, and pitchers have been doing a great job keeping us in games, and we've had a couple double headers early, so you can take whatever you want from those, but we'll be all right. I think we're moving in the direction we need to be.
Before we head into fan questions, I wanted to ask a few questions of you. First is that there's a lot of discussion about this team winning 80 games this season. Is that a number you even pay attention to at all?
I've never heard that before, and obviously that would be great, but all I'm worried about is going out tonight and trying to beat Salina and see if we can win game 2 of the second or the 4-game series. It would be great. I don't even know what we want what it was last year, but we never think about that. I mean, you're stupid to look down towards that, just because you got to play them one at a time, and for us to sit here and think we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it's all good on paper, but that's why you play the games. I mean, you got to do it, and you got to do all that stuff. So I don't think if we get to 80, great. If we don't, oh well, it's not a big deal. We're just looking to be on time today, which we all are, and we're going to go out and play hard tonight, and whatever happens, happens.
With just 10 position players on the team this season, how do you try to work that without guys getting tired and injuries, things like that? Injuries are just kind of part of it. I don't think you really kind of manage to prevent injuries. I think they just got to go out and play, and whatever happens, happens. Knock on wood, obviously, you hope it doesn't happen. But with the position players that I have, or we have here, it just, you get in a routine, who's playing, where you're playing, where you're hitting. Really the only thing is fish as far as, catching, spelling Marty, maybe getting a day to DH. I think it's good for us just because our position guys are so close. They play together. They know how to take care of themselves. They're kind of an older bunch of position players. So to me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, when we can have the extra arm and have 13 pitchers, I think it's a plus for us. And you know what? If something happens, God forbid, we have to go out and make a move. We can go out and make a move. They bring in an extra position player, but I think we might be the only team in the league, maybe except for this team here, Salina, or maybe one of the Texas teams. We still have 2 vet spots open, so that's a luxury to have as well. But I like the 10 position players. I mean, it's working out for us so far, but it's a long season. It's going to get hot here shortly, and we'll see how long it lasts. Just out of curiosity, is there a pitcher out there that would go out to the field in an emergency situation?
You know what? Actually, Goose and Brown was a position player in college. I think if you go ask all of our pitchers, I think they all are position players with Bo Shears and Leesmans and Koosmals and those guys. But I think in a pinch, I just think we're so versatile because TJ can play anywhere. Fish can play the corners. Medina can play the corners. They both can play the outfield. Harry, played 2 games at second base in spring training. So I think we're really versatile, and I think that's what kind of helps us go with 10 position players, to where if something happens, we can fill in for maybe a day or 2 until we can get somebody in here to fill a spot or whatever. So, but I think Goose and Brown will be our first guy just because of his track record being a position player in college.
Heading into fan questions this week, we first of all begin with John from Salina. He says, Pete, those Salina Stockade are looking better than everyone thinks, aren't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They, you gotta love the way they play the game. They come to the ballpark, they play hard. They beat us at home. I think we're the only team that lost to them
to date, but that's all going to change because they got a really good team. I mean, they're position players. They play hard. They play the game the right way. They're all having fun, and it's just a really tough team to play. It's I put myself in their situation as getting to come over and play in this league. I mean, why not go out there and let it all hang out? It's kind of like an open tryout every night you play. But they're a very good ball club. They got a couple good starting pitchers. Like the right fielder's been swinging the bat. They're a tough team to handle. I mean, you can't really match up against them. Obviously, the unknown, so to speak. Not that I look at scouting reports and all that good jazz, but you got to tip your hat to JD and the job that they've done putting this team together in such a short time. And he's right. I think they're going to get better as the season progresses.
Next up is Clem from Park City. He says, have you met Billy Martin Jr.? And if so, please tell me that you think he's going to be kicking dirt on people's shoes like his dad used to do.
I don't know. He's a great guy. The first time I ever met him, when we were just there in Dallas, and what a super nice guy, and I think he's going to do a good job down there. But I don't know if he's going to be kicking dirt. I don't think, it's kind of like me trying to imitate my dad's, try to hit like my dad when I played. That's probably not going to work. But he's doing a good job down there, and super nice guy. But I'm sure it'll come a time in a place where he's going to kick some dirt.
Eddie would like to know what you talk to opposing managers about before the game.
I'm not. If anybody noticed, I don't go up to home plate. I let Jimmy Foltz do that because, to be honest with you, I don't really know the ground rules here. Not that I care to know the ground rules. If something happens, I just send Jimmy out there. But I'll see him before the game and just, hey, how you doing? Guys that I know or new guys, introduce myself. But if you need anything or that type of deal. But usually it's just, if you're talking about the managers meeting at the plate, it's, first day you go over the ground rules, and then the rest of the time it's just basically what time the games are and, hey, you need anything, that type of deal. But, I'll let Jimmy Foltz do that for me.
Not solving world crisis.
No, not solving anything, even close to world crisis.
Well, here's my favorite question of the week. A person identifying herself as woman who's a fan says, why do all the players get a song when they come to the plate to bat, but there isn't a song played when you come out for the meeting with the manager and umpire? I would think I'm Too Sexy would be the ideal choice.
No, not me. No. That's a good question. That's Bret Michaels' song, or Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. So I'm gonna leave that alone, because I am a WWE guy. I'm gonna let him have that. But I don't know. Maybe I can get a song. Maybe I can get one up there whenever I make a change or come out and argue or do something. Maybe they can do something. But it'll definitely be maybe some old school rap, or maybe some house, or maybe some Claude Von Stroke or something. But we'll figure that out as we go here.
Chandler from Wichita asks, he says, Pete, what are the off-field things you hate about your job? I mean, I know a lot of managers and players get roped into doing a whole lot of things to promote the team. Do any of those suck?
No, not really. I mean, it's when you get to go out and interact with the fans and go hang out with kids and do stuff like that. It's fun. I mean, it's probably one of the better parts of the job. Actually, obviously, the worst part of the job is getting on the bus and sitting on the bus for a long time, as I can't stand to do. But those things are okay. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of great people, and you want to promote the team as much as you can to try to get more fans to come out and watch your guys play. And that's what we try to do here. Just because our position player, or our team, I should say, it's a fun team to watch, and it's just it's amazing why a lot more people don't come. And we had a good crowd last night, but you want to come watch some good baseball. Come and watch our guys play. I mean, they play the game the right way, and if you're looking for your son or your daughter to kind of pick somebody out to watch and learn how to play the game, any one of our guys will do it, because they all play hard. But it's fun to get out and meet new people, and go to schools or go to hospitals or sign autographs, whatever it is. It's just kind of part of it, and I've been doing it forever. So, but I enjoy it because I like meeting new people.
Sheila from Boulder would like to know, how are the Colorado Rockies in first place in the NL West? She doesn't get that one at all.
Their third baseman is one of a kind. Arenado, Nolan. I think if you have him on your team, I think you have a pretty good chance at winning. He's a Gold Glover. He hits homers, drives in runs. But they got a good young team. I mean, they're playing well. It's early, but we're almost 2 months into it, so they're looking like they're the real deal. Their pitching staff's really good. They're young too, so it's just. But But you have a guy like him that plays third base and hits fourth for you or third. You got a chance every night to at least be in the game, because with one swing of the bat, he can either put you ahead or get you a run or two closer. So but they're having a great year, and hope it continues. Just like to get some new teams in the playoffs just to make it interesting.
Ian from Kansas City asks, he says, I thought after the Indians signed Encarnacion that they would just roll. What is happening there?
I think it's a matter of time for them. I think it's it's kind of the same thing. Obviously, we're not the Indians, and the Indians aren't us. But I think sometimes teams just need to find their way. I think it's kind of the question you talked about, winning the 80 games. I think you got to get in and feel what's going on and find your way. But I think they're going to be okay. They got a heck of a pitching staff, and when you add Encarnacion to their lineup, it only makes them better. And I think I think the first place is only a couple games away, so I think they're going to be in the thick of things once September and October come around. But some teams, it just takes them a little bit longer to gel, and I think with them, when you add a big piece of an offensive player and a position player that plays every day, it just takes a little time.
Adam from Wichita would like to know from you. He says, how does a player know when his time is over? Is it hard to face that reality?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was my left knee. I mean, obviously, your body will talk to you. But it's tough. I mean, you love the game and you do it all your life. It's tough to hang them up and walk away. And I understand when guys are when they try to hang on and hang on as long as they can. It's just something inside you that just tells you to keep going. But for me, it was easy just because it was my knee. I think if I didn't have a knee replacement, I'd probably still be playing somewhere, just because I love to play the game. And I think, if you listen to your body, it'll tell you, hey, that's enough. Or, I don't think anybody wants to look at their play, so to speak. If your play declines or whatever, nobody really looks at that. But, you have injuries, and getting up out of bed in the morning, it's tough to do. I think it's a lot of people listen to that and kind of makes it the decisions easy. But if you're not hurt, it's a tough decision. I know I wouldn't want to have to make that decision.
I remember a lot of people telling Peyton Manning that he should try to hang on as long as he can. Is that the mentality you take in? Is that I'm going to stick out here as long as I can make it?
Yeah, I think as a competitor, you believe in your skills and in your heart that you can play at the highest level, and I think that's why you keep playing. And when people tell you that you can't, I think that's a motivating factor. I mean, it was for me when you're not going to play in the big leagues, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. Well, that's fine. Keep talking. I'm just going to prove you wrong. So it's kind of extra motivation. So, but it's different for everybody. I mean, it's just. You get some guys that retire early. I mean, look at Megatron. Megatron retired early, and now he's talking about maybe coming back. So I was just always taught, my dad said, listen, once you hang him up, it's done. So you better make sure once you do it, you're ready to do it. And, there's no turning back after that, because I think if you start going back and forth, it's tough. I think, Brett Favre, prime example. I mean, I think that's a guy that should have just kept playing. Instead of unretiring, I mean, he's one of the best ever. I love watching him play, but I mean, it's just a tough decision. I mean, you do something for so long, and it's just, you don't want to give it up. You don't want to let people tell you that your skills are diminished, and you don't want anybody to make the decision for you.
Next up is Wally from Hutch. He says, I just don't get why every time Jose Bautista flips a bat that the baseball world acts like he just spit on the catcher's face. Can you explain that one to me?
I would say if every time somebody struck him out, they did a big yeah, or did some kind of celebration on the mound, I think everybody would kind of notice, what the whole thing is. I was always taught if you hit a home run, you get around the bases as quick as you can, because you don't want to pull a lot of attention to you, because you know what, maybe the next time you're up, maybe they forgot you hit the home run and gave you the same pitch, and you can do it again. So that, and I was always taught you act like you've done it before. So I wasn't a showman by any means, bat flipping or any of that good jazz. I would have got a handful from my dad if I would have did that kind of stuff, just kind of disrespecting the game. And you just go out and play the way that you play the game the way you're taught, and you play the game like you've been there before. But I think if pitchers start showing hitters up when they strike out and stuff like that, I think then everybody would kind of understand why everybody gets mad at Bautista about it. But he can hit, man. He can. I guess when you hit that many and you hit that far, I guess it's okay.
It's one of those things I think you've talked about where if it's a big moment, you get it.
Sure. No, absolutely. I mean, you're in the playoffs and it's a big home run. Absolutely. I mean, it's same thing with the pitchers. If a pitcher strikes you out and it ends a big rally and he does something and you get pissed off about it, hey, maybe you shouldn't have struck out. But I think it gets a little out of hand with the bat flips, and I think, the one in the playoffs, definitely, I wouldn't have got mad about that just because, hey, it's a big, like you said, it's a big moment. It's a playoffs. You're playing for a ring. But, he does it a lot, but like I said, he hits the ball a long way. He hits it hard. He can hit, so I guess he's kind of earned that right.
Dylan from Emporia would like to know, will your dad be coming to any games this season? That would be super cool if he did, because he's a huge Pete Rose fan.
Dylan, me and you are the same. I'm a huge Pete Rose fan, and I would probably say there's a good chance that he'll come. Obviously, me being here, I just don't know which one. I usually get a message on my phone, little code word that means that he'll be at the game. He usually just flies in and flies out. Unless my kids are here and he'll come in and maybe spend a day or so. But he keeps up, whether it's online or through people telling him. But he watches every game he can. But I'm sure he'll definitely be in here at least once.
Scott from Garden City would like to know if you're glad to see the NFL allowing celebrations back into the game.
Absolutely, I think it's I think when the refs get involved with that, it's obviously they've never scored a touchdown before because those are far and few between, and NFL's career is cut short, but it just brings a lot of fun back into the game. I mean, it's you score 6 points for your team. Hey, go ahead and spike and dance and do whatever you want to do. You go back to the Billy White Shoes Johnson days that started it all, and the Fun Bunch and all that good jazz. So, I'm excited about it. I thought the referees kind of took it a little bit too far as not letting them do anything. I think college gets the short end of the stick because, they can't even look at anybody. They look at anybody, it's 15 yards. So, but you know what? Some teams will just say, to heck with the 15 yards, go do what you got to do, and we'll put our defense out there and let it happen. But I'm glad it's back.
You grew up watching one of the most famous celebrations in the
Icky Shuffle. Believe it. There's commercials and everything. And as a kid, we obviously, as an adult, I should say, or a young adult, that was the best. I mean, when he went in the end zone, you're going to get the shuffle, and it went from the end zone. Then he had to run to the sideline and do it because he'd get penalized. I think with the ticket prices, they should be able to entertain as much as they want. So I'm all for it.
That makes good sense. Chris from Wichita would like to know. He says, I don't understand why people even watch the NBA. All anyone expected was the Cavaliers and the Warriors in the final, and that looks like that will happen, which it did. So what good is a sport when everyone knows the final outcome?
I just think this year's different. You just got two really solid teams, just like last year. But people forget Boston was the number one seed. Cleveland wasn't. And, you thought maybe it was going to be a series once Boston won the one game. But when you got the best player on the planet in Cleveland, I think, you're going to be right where you need to be. But it's going to set up for a great NBA Finals. And, hopefully we have an off day on one of the nights so we can watch. But if not, we'll just have to DVR it. But what a series that's going to be. And, I wish I could watch a whole series. I'm a big NBA fan. My son loves watching NBA. We watch it in the winter all the time. But I know what he's saying. There's really never been this much separation from really good teams to really bad teams. Usually it's, really good teams and, will get knocked off. And, like last year with, the Thunder almost beating the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. But I think it's going to be a good series. And, I think the two best teams are obviously in it. And we'll see the best team win.
I always thought basketball was different in that people like basketball when there is the big dynasties, the Bulls and
sure.
the Lakers and Celtics. That doesn't really play as well as in other sports, I don't think.
Yeah, I think everybody's just kind of upset because you see big-time players go play with big-time stars. I think if KD would have stayed in Oklahoma City, I think it wouldn't have been that much backlash. If Kevin Love and Darren Williams and Kyle Korver didn't go to Cleveland to play with LeBron, I think it would be a lot different. But if I'm a good player and I have a chance to go to a championship team and win a ring, I don't see why you wouldn't do it. And I think that's why everybody's mad because you look at these rosters and it's just all stars up and down. And it's just, I think you go back in the day, there wasn't as much, signing and players for hire late in the years or whatever. So, but I'm with you. I think, Cleveland's got a great chance to be a dynasty, kind of like the Bulls, like the Celtics, like the Pistons, like the Lakers. I think it's going to be one of those series, back in the old Lakers Celtics series that, won 7 games and just, people getting after each other. But yeah, you're right about that. I think it's kind of starting to get that way, but I think it's just a backlash from, you see one of the best players in the league go to the best team. Usually he'll stay in the same team and guys will come to him, but he chose to go to the Golden State Warriors, which, obviously it's worked out for him.
Next up, we have a guy identifying himself as Dad. My son's baseball coach is recommending that he stop throwing sidearm. If it is working for him, do you recommend my son taking his coach's advice even though he is having success?
That's a tough question. I was never allowed to throw sidearm. My dad always made me throw overhand, so I'm not going to tell him how to raise his son. But you want him to be successful as a senior in high school. It really doesn't matter if you're successful as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. So I think I think what his coach is trying to say, if you throw sidearm, you're not used to doing it. It's probably maybe a better shot at injuring your arm, but you can injure your arm if you fall off the bus or slip on a wet spot or something like that. But I was always taught to throw overhand, so I try to teach my kid overhand. He'll drop down every once in a while, watch it on TV, turn a double play or something. But some kids can just do it. And you look at Doug Flutie; he threw sidearm as a football player. Nobody else did. He did it, work for him. But he was a pro, obviously. But I know what the coach is saying. But Dad's dad, so I'll let Dad take care of that one.
Sean from Wichita asks, he says, this is kind of a weird question because kids love to play catch, but do you feel that there is a limit on how much catch a kid should play?
I played catch every day, all day when I was a kid, and I never had an arm problem. And it's funny because I sit back and look at these guys and with all the arm problems and this and that, and literally I would drag my mom or my sister or my dad, whatever it was, I would play catch nonstop. And I think the more you throw, the stronger your arm's going to get. I never worried about a sore arm, but I wasn't sitting there throwing curveballs and all. I was just playing catch. If I didn't have somebody to play catch with me, I'd throw the ball against the wall or what have you. But I just think it's different today, just because of all the data and all the research that people do on everything. But I'm a big believer in playing catch or playing pepper, just getting out and playing, just doing something. But me as a kid and growing up, I always played catch, and I've never had an arm problem.
Next up is Tina from Mays. She says, I always hear people say in any kind of job or sport that if they could give one piece of advice to young men and women, that advice would be, what would be your one piece of advice?
Don't be scared to make a mistake. I mean, we're human, but people don't realize, that we make mistakes. That's what makes us so special, is nobody's the same. We're not perfect. So if you can understand that, and I tell my guys, go out and make an error, go out and strike out, go out and throw a bad pitch, but do it being yourself and being aggressively. I think if you understand that it's okay to make a mistake. I mean, obviously you don't want to, but if you play the game long enough, you're going to lose the game by making an error. You're going to strike out with the bases loaded. You're going to give up a walk-off homer. And it's how you react to that. And I think if you go into it knowing that you can't be perfect, and what do I mean by that? Well, my dad's got the most hits. He's also made the most outs. So I was always taught, it's okay to go for 4. It's okay to make an error. You don't want to do that, but if you have the mindset to where it's not the end of the world, I think, good things will happen to you. I mean, we're human. We make mistakes, whether it's on the baseball field or the football field or the classroom or, in the court or, at the factory. We make mistakes. That's just our nature. But my guys know that if they just play hard and they're on time, if they make a mistake, I'm not going to say a word about it. But if it's a mental mistake and you're doing something, I think that's a little different. But the physical mistakes, just being a human being, I mean that kind of happens. So I would just say, just go out and don't be scared to make a mistake. Go out and have fun and work hard.
Next up is Frank from Wichita, who says, Pete, my buddy and I were having a debate on the age-old question. Just wanted your take. Ginger or Mary Ann?
Ginger. No two ways around it. I'm a ginger myself, so I'm going to go with ginger. No two ways around it. That's an easy one, Frank.
Denise would like to know, I've been dating this guy for about 6 months, and I really like him, even love him. I could see a future with him, but he says he sees that and he says he sees that with me. However, he wants us to each get tattoos with each other's names on them. I don't like the idea at all, and he keeps saying, well, if you love me, you would do it. Are tattoos proof that you love someone?
No. I mean, she is saying that this is the guy for her. So if you think it's a guy for you, I mean, you can get your tattoo covered up, but I mean, it all depends on if you want to get a tattoo or not. I don't have tattoos, so I wouldn't know that department. But I don't think that's a proof of your love for someone. But on the other hand, if you're ready and you think this is the one, I don't see there's anything wrong getting a tattoo. I say go for it. You can always get it covered up if it doesn't work out.
Sal would like to know, he says, Pete and Rob, you two have been married for a long time. Give some advice to us young couples on how to keep a marriage strong.
You know, I've had this question before. I don't really have any. I don't really have any marriage advice. I guess I just got lucky. I'll just put it that way. I found the right one and found her early, and that was that. I mean, obviously, you just it takes a lot of work, obviously, but just be yourself. I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I think that was asked before, and I don't know what my answer was, but I just got lucky. I can't really explain it. It's just it wasn't really quick, and I knew her for a while, obviously, and that's a stumper. Sal stumped us right there. Maybe you can throw some advice out there, because I'm stumped.
I'm going to use your baseball advice and say, don't be afraid to admit you made a mistake.
There you go. That's a great one. Absolutely. I'll go with that. That's a good one.
You'll make many, so hold up to him. Our last question of the week is from Cassandra. She says, I think that this guy likes me, but is there a way I can tell without flat out him telling me?
Yeah, play hard to get. See what happens. I mean, if you don't talk to him for, if you don't return his text or don't talk to him for a day or so, and he starts to keep calling or whatever, I mean, I think that's a pretty good indication that he's into you. But if he just stops and just really doesn't care, then you might want to, maybe go somewhere else.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
You got it, man. Anytime.
We want to thank manager Pete Rose Jr. for joining us on Fan Interference this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Wichita Wingnut skipper, please send them to us at askpete@minorleaguesportsupport.com. That's askpete@minorleaguesportsupport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give Pete a little time to review them before we record the show. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report. We'll see you next time.